So I got the accessory case off the back, and the next thing I want to do is start, well, ideally I'd like to take the induction off and take the oil pan off, because I don't have my stand yet. I'm going to leave it on this pallet, which is pretty well supported, and just keep doing what I can do. I was able to pull the fuel injection off, the spider as it's called, so the manifold and the lines that go to each cylinder, nothing really special there. Saved you the hassle of watching me play with that. The next thing though is the push rod tubes and the valve covers and the rockers and all that kind of stuff. So that might be a little more exciting. Let's get to it. You know what, I almost forgot that before I started trying to pull the valve rockers off, I need to get this one on top dead center. Okay, that should be top dead center, compression stroke number 1. Should be able to take off this cover for the rocker shaft. Should be no load on that rocker, and that shaft should slide right out. This thing's all stuck together because they painted the whole thing after they put it together. Just, I don't know if you can see, but that rocker shaft is just floating. I need to push it out. Somehow, there we go. Don't want to drop anything. There's a washer on the inside, a spacer. There we go. Number 1 exhaust rocker. And I think it's even marked that. It looks like it says exhaust. It doesn't say number 1, but it definitely says exhaust. And here comes the push rod as well. Looks like the numbers are facing out. I'm gonna set this down, take a quick peek at the push rod. So I'm gonna make notes of all this so everything goes back into the same exact position. I'm gonna write down the serial numbers for the parts and what position they were in. And for now, I'm gonna put it back in, take some notes. Same thing now for the intake. Alright, so I was able to get the other side, the intake rocker off. I had to remove the adjacent rocker shaft cover, which gave me enough clearance to slide the shaft up, but the shaft still won't come out. So what I'm going to do is just leave this in here for now, and once I get the cylinder out, the shaft will be able to come out pretty easy. Same thing, take the push rod out, clean it, inspect it, write down the serial number and position. After the push rods are out, I could take the push rod tubes off. They just got these locking spring clips, which you just turn 90 degrees. It's pretty easy to get them to move. I just used this tool, I forgot what it's called. It's a cotter pin extractor. So I just used that to pull up on the locking clip. These things, you can get them to turn a little bit and then just push it inboard a little bit, free it up, and it just pops right out. A little different from the old style that would actually go through the top of the head. All right, now that rockers, push rods, and all that stuff is out, one of the last things before I take the cylinders off is getting the baffles out. All right, continuing on with the top end disassembly. All the valve train's been removed, the accessory case has been removed. I've got my parts lined up over here, organized the way they came off. Taking notes of all the part numbers and positions. Now I think what we got to do is remove the oil return lines and the intake tubes, and then the cylinders can come off. All right, so here we are, pretty much ready to pull the cylinders off. I got all the push rod tubes out. I got all the push rods. I got all the rockers and intake tubes and oil return lines and accessory case. Everything on the back is removed. So all I have to do now is start loosening the cylinder base nuts. I got to get my special wrenches for that. I'll show you in a minute. And always put the cylinder that you're trying to pull on top dead center, so that once you start to get it off, the piston's all the way at the end and you don't have any issues trying to pull it off. I don't think I'm going to try to pull the wrist pins out. I think I'm just going to pull it right off the cylinder and let them hang and put a rag or something on the connecting rod so it doesn't hit the case. All right, let's do it. So these are the special cylinder base wrenches that I need for this engine. Even though it's a wide deck, it's got internal wrenching on the 390, so I had to get narrow deck wrenches, if you could believe that. There's a little bit of paint on the inside of the cylinder nut, so I just had to tap my wrench in there so it doesn't slip out. I've already started to loosen this one. There we go. Nothing like a 2-foot ratchet. Now to get the wrench out without hitting anything. There it goes. It's a pretty tight fit. Oh, come on. I don't want to mess up the cylinder fins. There it goes. All right. There's one. It's loose. How many more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see if the smaller ones are easier. That one fit pretty good, actually. Ooh. Yeah, it's nice. All right, there's 4. All the little ones are off. So these are those 12-point internal wrenching cylinder base nuts. I'm gonna set them aside for now. All right, here's where you really want to take your time. Don't go too fast. Make sure you got both hands in a good position where you can support the cylinder. Don't pull it off too fast so that the piston falls and you don't want the connecting rod to hit the crankcase. So you're going to want to support it best you can, and then maybe stick a rag or something inside, protect all the metal parts. So this is where we want to make sure to stuff that in there so it doesn't fall. There she is. All right, number one jug. Look at that. What a beauty. There's the piston. You can see the rings. Oh yeah. I'm gonna pop the wrist pin out. There's the piston. There's the connecting rod. Got the end cap. Beautiful. Number one's off. Next we're doing number 3, which is in the firing order. And I've rotated the crankshaft, so this piston should be at the top of the cylinder. All right, before I go any farther, I gotta show you guys this. I can't unsee it. Once I show you, you won't be able to unsee it either. You gotta admit, this kind of looks like 2 eyes, a mouth, and a tongue, right? Like maybe a big frog or something, sticking its tongue out, trying to catch something. Watch this.